Hello readers! Who doesn't love a good plant? A wonder of nature, colourful, resourceful, and a sanctum for our buzzy friends. Could you imagine a world where a plant was not so sweet and beautiful? No? Perhaps one where a sunflower got crossed with the genes of a Venus flytrap, and maybe a few other species as well. Perhaps one where the plants matured and uplifted their roots from the ground, but that would be fine, right? They're only plants. Imagine if they evolved stingers, poisonous stingers. Of course, we were in control, but then something happened. You wake up the next day and the world feels a different place. You can see, but no one else can. Welcome to DanWhiteBooks, and today we're reviewing The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. Recommended to me by an online Facebook community, The Day of the Triffids is a science fiction novel written by John Wyndham back in December 1951. It is written for a first-person narrative and is told through the eyes of Bill Mason, an intelligent man in his early 30s. It's told through the eyes of Bill Mason, the eyes of Bill Mason, the eyes of Bill Mason. Eyes are important in this book. Let me tell you why. Let me take you into this world. Let yourself be the main character in this parody of tale. Welcome to London, 1959. You went out with friends on the previous night. In fact, you didn't sleep until 8 a.m. You're a mad one. The next day you wake up feeling incredibly ill and hungover. You order a takeaway in the evening and lock yourself in your room throughout the night and into the next day. Much beknown to you, outside frantic lights are streaming across the night sky. Everywhere on planet Earth, a beauty divine shows itself. People look for hours at this wondrous hue of colour, and it's magnificent. Who would miss it? The next day you awake feeling oddly fresh. You pull back the curtains and the sun shines in on your eyes, but God, it's quiet. The usual motor cars that rush back and forth seem absent on the distant roads. There's no rushing of people. You get dressed, you get changed, but something is missing. You pop into the next room where your housemate is yelling, "Why is it so dark in here?" You walk in and open the curtains. "Are the lights broken?" he yells as he stares right through you. But in his room the sun is shining, if not brighter than the average day. You step outside and see a few hobbling people in the street. They are feeling the pavement, as if to feel their way about. There are no cars, there are no trains. The world has gone blind. Although our protagonist's story differs slightly from that of your own, he arrives in a world just the same. No one can see. The cosmic events of the previous night have left everyone who looked upon them as blind as a bat. They can see no light whatsoever, even though their eyes look perfectly fine. Bill Mason wakes up in hospital on the day his bandages are to be removed from his eyes. He was stung by one of those nasty triffids. You know, the kind of plant, the one that moves on their roots when they mature. Came about 5 years ago and started popping up all over the place. Anyway, Bill unwraps his bandages on the day they were due to come off. He does this by himself as no nurse seems there to help him. The world he sees cannot look back. In the hallway, a doctor is tapping the walls to feel where he is. Later on in the streets, people are bumping and falling into one another. In a nearby pub, a man is found on the floor, tasting spirits and throwing away the ones that aren't to his liking. He can't see a thing. People are drunk and people are doomed. That is, unless you missed it. The biggest cosmological event to happen on Earth in the history of man. A scary prospect, right? Alone in a world that is without sight. But there are others. Not many, but they are out there. Bill meets a girl tied to a blind man's hand. This man swings at her and beats her in a rage. As the blind starve, they become desperate. If they sense you have vision, some may grab you, or in the case of Gisela, some may use you as their own eyes. At the sight of this madness, Bill frees Gisela, and they wander about London on a day to be described as the last before the end. The city looks for a few seconds as it did, but they know it will not last. They know the world has changed, and this view will be the last of a forgotten time. The Day of the Triffids is a strange book that had me excited by the concept and the way of life in this horrible future. As time goes on, the Triffids pick away at the blind people and swipe them down in the street. But in all honesty, they don't make much of a feature in this tale. From my opening, you may picture an epic battle between man and plant that resolves in a dramatic fashion, but no, that is not here, and so I regret to announce that I was a bit disappointed by this book. The concept sounds fantastic, but I don't feel it nearly gets explored enough as it should, and so we're left with a book some deem a classic that focuses wholly on a love story between our central characters, Gisela and Bill, but not a lot else. In spite of this, it is well written, but the love expressed between the two characters for me seems wholly unrealistic and just not entirely convincing. Perhaps I'm being cynical, but after a few days together, it's all or nothing. There's talk of babies, there's talk of marriage. I don't know, it just seems a bit much. My favourite part of this book was the Triffids, described as plants with long stingers that slash at those who come into their path, but they don't seem to get enough attention. Although the concept was probably quite innovative in a post-war world, in my eyes it just doesn't gain enough traction. The suspense is there, the horror certainly is, but it falls short. The love feels forced, as if detracting away from the world you're actually interested in, and it's a shame. It's a real shame, because I had high hopes for this one. I think this would make a fantastic modern day TV series whereby all the characters' backstories are explored and the world given greater depth, but sadly the book falls short. It could have been longer and it could have been better, but it just misses the mark. So I'd rate this book a 6 out of 10. Certainly readable and certainly enjoyable, but just failing to live up to its true potential. It's odd because I'd love to read more, but it just doesn't go further, and I'm slightly disappointed by that. I wanted Bill to form some type of society, and from there I wanted to hear the struggles the opposing Triffids would bring. I wanted a power struggle that he'd have to go against, but no, it's only briefly mentioned in the story, and the plants aren't really given enough attention. They're so mysterious, you're wondering what's happening, and then suddenly the end is like, oh, okay. And it was just disappointing, really. It's still a good book, still a good read, but oh, it could have been better. Still, if you'd like to buy this book and form your own opinion, I'd certainly recommend you do that. There is a link below where you'll be able to buy it. And although it's not to my liking, I'd certainly recommend you check it out. Just for curiosity alone, other reviewers regard this book quite highly, so see what you think and prove me wrong. Again, thank you for watching, thank you for being here, thank you for spending some time watching another book review. Subscribe to my channel if you like this. I'll be posting more book reviews. I'm actually reading a new book now for the next one, so keep an eye out for that. Follow me on Goodreads, that'll be down there as well. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Dan White, and goodbye.